This podcast is sponsored by ebookit.com, self-publishing solutions for the independent author and small press. Visit us today at ebookit.com.
Welcome to the Toastmasters podcast, the official podcast of Toastmasters International. Hello, everybody. This is Greg Gazin. Now, in Toastmasters, we often refer to our fellow members as part of one big happy family. It's not uncommon for multiple members from the same household to partake in Toastmaster meetings, but it's rare to see a 6-year-old who is fully engaged in the activities. Our guest today is going to share one such story of this magic that was created, a father who brought his daughter to a Toastmasters meeting. He's Todd Bryant, certified financial planner practitioner. In 2020, the Orlando Business Journal listed him as a top 40 under 40. He's been a Toastmaster for 7 years and a member of Citrus Club Toastmasters in Orlando, Florida, home of Disney World, where he lives with his wife, Lindsay, daughter, Cambrie, and his son, Colton. Todd Bryant, welcome to the Toastmasters podcast.
Thank you, Greg. I'm excited to be here and to join you today.
I was fascinated when I read your My Turn article in the April 2024 issue of the Toastmaster magazine. And when I read about you bringing your daughter to a meeting, I had this just big grin on my face. That must have been a lot of fun for you.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We talked about it for several months, and she particularly had just seen the ribbons kind of around the house that I had gotten over the years, and always was asking questions and said, "Well, how can I get a ribbon?" And I just kind of made up the age of 6 because she probably started asking about it when she was 5 or so, and I just said, "Oh, you got to be 6. You got to be 6." I had to feel like I was, feel like she was ready.
So that's how you got her started. You dangled a carrot in front of her a little bit, right?
Yep, exactly.
I mean, in Toastmasters, we do have a youth leadership program where we have the youth ages 12 to 17, but 6 is really an early start. Did she know what to expect when she attended a meeting?
We went over it several times. I will admit that I got the idea from another former member that was part of Citrus Toastmasters, and he brought his daughter, and his daughter was probably about 10 at that time. And I just thought it was so cool that she was brave enough to come and participate and everything else. So I remember that I think at that time, my daughter was probably 1 or 2 or something when he brought his daughter. So it was something that I said that'd be so cool to be able to do that whenever she's ready. And I think just from having some of I would come home and show off a ribbon or something like that. And, fortunately I had some success in 2018 in making my way up the World Championship of Public Speaking. So I've got some trophies at home, and the kids have also been playing with the trophies and doing different things with that. So I've kind of gotten them grown up within the world of Toastmasters a little bit, and they're familiar with it enough just to say, "Oh, I want that. How do I get a ribbon?" And that was kind of how the conversation started.
So what was the moment where you decided, okay, it's time?
Well, she has had a gift of speaking from just as a baby. When her first word, of course, was "mama," and then a little bit of "dada." But then once we got to the first real word, I can't remember the exact age, but I remember she was sitting on the floor in the living room playing with some toys, and she was playing with a little toy turtle. And she looked at it and she said, "Turtle." And my wife and I looked at each other, and she was like, "Did that come from her?" And I said, "Yeah, I think so." I said, "What are you holding?" And she said, "Turtle." Kind of from that moment on, everybody would always comment on how well spoken she was, and and the way that she would pronounce things and enunciation, everything. So between that and then a lot of her asking a lot of questions about the ribbons and the trophies, it was probably about 6 months or so, and this was last year. We talked about it a lot, and then there was a few times where she was getting a little too nervous, and I just told her, like, "You don't have to do this. It's perfectly fine. I'm going to be proud of you no matter what." And she kept saying she wanted to do it. And what was funny is our club meets at the Citrus Club, which is a business club in downtown Orlando. We get the use of the facilities for free every Friday, which is incredible. We had gone to dinner last June. It was around Father's Day because they had like a Father's Day dinner going on. And at the dinner, the kids wanted to see the room that Toastmasters normally goes in. So we all went into that room, and the kids kind of stood where the podium normally is. And both of them, even though my son was only 4 at that time, both of them kind of practiced the little mini speeches in that room to prepare themselves. So she was able to do it. And that's something that I do on a regular basis too. I want to look at the room. I want to see where things are going to be set up and where's the tables and the lighting and the audio video and the stage and all of those things. So she really did what I'd like to do, which is mentally prepare herself for visualizing what that room was going to look like.
Well, that's funny. And two things. One, as you were speaking or as you were rephrasing what your daughter had said with the turtle, I was visualizing it. You're saying that she was articulate, but I'm thinking she also had vocal variety and she also had facial expressions and gestures, and already preparing her for her icebreaker.
Yeah, exactly.
And the other thing that's interesting, I was thinking to myself, okay, how did you prepare her? Which you already shared. You prepared her even before she even came to the meeting. But I'm wondering, that day that she attended, were you the worried dad or the excited dad?
I think there's always a level of being a little worried, but mostly excited. And even that morning, and even going there, I kept telling her, like, you don't have to participate if you don't want to. If you decide that you just want to, sit and watch and listen and hear other people's speeches and table topics, like you don't have to participate. And it was table topics where she really had her opportunity. And the person that was leading table topics that day, she actually had kind of gone around the room already and was ready to pack things up until I kind of motioned to her and kind of made eye contact and nodded over to my daughter that she wanted to participate. And we actually use a really cool system. This was not my idea, it was someone else's idea. But in our club, somebody had created these cards that go in front of each seat, and it's either red or green. They stole the idea from Texas de Brazil, which is the Brazilian steakhouse, where you have a card in front of you where if it's green, the people with the meat are just going to keep on coming and bringing more meat to you. You flip it to red and they'll stop. But then our club, Citrus Toastmasters, someone created these red or green cards, and we use it for table topics. So if you have a speaking role already, or if you're an evaluator, or if you're a guest like my daughter was who didn't want to participate, you'll keep it on red. But my daughter kept it on green the whole time. The person that was hosting it that day just thought maybe she didn't want to participate because she was 6 years old, which is perfectly understandable. But then I kind of motioned over at the end, and I just said, oh no, let's, if we got one more question, she wants to take a question.
Walk us through that moment.
A lot of times in our club, I think like many others, you stand at the table that you're seated at. Instead, she stood up and she walked up to the front of the room, and as if she was giving a regular speech, and she was able to ask her a question. And at that point, we had just gotten back from a family vacation where she spent a lot of time with her cousins, and cousins would wake up earlier than the grown-ups a lot of times because we were on vacation, and they'd be watching something on Netflix Kids or something. So there was a baking show the kids had become obsessed with, where their competition for baking cakes and cupcakes and things like that. So she had a question about what's your favorite TV show and why. So at that moment in time, kids' favorites change constantly.
Of course.
But at that moment in time, that was her favorite show, really because she had watched it with her cousins. So she's telling a story about that. And then as she's talking about her vacation, the person prompted a follow-up question, the table topics master. And within the follow-up question said, what else did you do on her vacation? And she just summarized it by saying, well, we only went to the beach once, but we didn't stay for very long. And then I cried a lot. And that's all she said. It's like, no, that's not that. That's not the summary that I want, that people should know about. And she cried when we left because she was sad about leaving the house and leaving her cousins and everything like that. But so I kind of had to do a little bit of a correction to make people think I am a good dad, and we did have a fun vacation. But yeah, she stood up there very bravely and spoke just like she's done her whole life, and in front of a group of professionals. And she had picked out her outfit that day, which she looked very cute in, and I was just very proud of her as she went up there and did something that many adults cannot do. But to do it as a child in a room full of adults was even more impressive.
Yeah. I know many of our listeners already know this fact that my first table topic, I didn't last 12 seconds. How did Cambrie feel about the experience afterwards? What did she share?
Yeah, she loved it. We have a picture of us that was the picture from the magazine, but then someone else took a picture of her sitting on my lap as they were doing the awards at the end of the meeting. That's when she won table topics. And of course, there was, I'm sure, a lot of cuteness votes that were included in there. So I definitely appreciate the cuteness votes. But I think a lot of it had to do with just the bravery and then her being able to, like you said, not many people, the majority of people out there would not be able to come up with something off the cuff for 1 to 2 minutes and be able to stand up and do that. So she was definitely proud of herself. One of the pictures that someone else took, she's sitting on my lap and I'm holding her, and we're both just have big smiles on our face. And I think that picture really encompassed the experience for both of us. And going to get her ribbon, and I don't think she thought about it at the moment, but I pointed out afterwards that Daddy also participated in table topics that day. And I said, we heard 2 speeches, which were great, and 2 evaluators, but the people that won those ribbons, they only beat one other person. And, let's just say that there was 10 people that participated in table topics that day, including your dad. So you not only beat 9 other people, but you also beat your dad. And she thought that was really cool.
Oh, I suppose now her brother would like a ribbon.
Yeah. So that was probably 10 months ago at this point. So over the course of the past 10 months, Colton has brought it up several times. Like, when am I old enough? When am I old enough? He's 5.5. I use the magical number of 6. Okay, when you're 6, you'll be ready. So I'm kind of gearing him up. Summer 2025 to be his opportunity to go check it out.
A real Toastmasters family. So is Cambrie now giving you evaluations around the dinner table?
Yeah, not at that point yet, but it is something that I share with her as far as I gave a speech at the last meeting last Friday, and so I'll tell her, "Oh, Daddy's got a speech today," and she'll follow up with me afterwards to ask how it went and that type of thing. So it's continued to be a shared thing with me, and I think as a father, and really for Lindsay and I both as parents, we obviously want to make the right decisions. And growing up in this day and age is much different with the technology that's involved. And
Mhm.
I feel that, for you and I, Greg, as well as for future generations, that it's just so important to have the power of being able to speak to people, and it's not just speak one-on-one, but also in front of group settings. And I think with the generation of people that just have iPads or smartphones or things in front of them, that I feel like that's going to become a lost art if it's not already, where they have to be able to do that to succeed in life and in school and business and everything else. So I feel that I've been able to help both of them, even though Colton hasn't formally done it yet, but just the conversations about it, and being able to have a reason to talk to them about why you need to be able to be good at speaking and meeting new people and networking and all of the aspects of what I've enjoyed with Toastmasters over my 7 years now, are things that I feel are so imperative for children to be able to be in a position to thrive in. And I think that's a powerful thing for them.
I agree. Is there a particular piece of advice that you would like to give parents who want to encourage their children to develop these communication and even leadership skills?
Yeah, I think that actually recently another one of my fellow Toastmasters brought his son, and that was really just from which I got the idea from somebody else. It wasn't my idea, but he brought his son recently. He's like, yeah, I had to bring my son now and my son's older than your daughter, so I had to get him involved and engaged. And yeah, he showed up wearing a suit and looking really really sharp and professional, and kind of getting him ready. So I think it's a cool thing to do. Now, obviously, I don't know if we want to have a bunch of kids running around all of our Toastmaster meetings every week, but I do feel there are certain instances where it's appropriate every once in a while just to kind of get them engaged, because in school they're going to have opportunities to speak in front of a group, or like my daughter participated in a spelling bee recently where you stand up on the stage and you're in front of people and you're answering tough words that you have to spell out. And I think that all of those types of things are helpful. So I encourage other parents, whether it's inviting them to a meeting or really just talking to them about it. If you win a ribbon, then go home and show them the ribbon and explain what it is and how you got it. And I think it's good to just start those conversations early on.
Oh, I agree. Let's shift the spotlight a little bit to you. I'd love to know, Todd, how did you stumble upon Toastmasters? And is there a particular experience you want to share?
Yeah, Greg, I started in my building my business in 2007. So it's been 17 years now. And a lot of what was given to me through a mentor through my college, UCF. UCF is the University of Central Florida, was about networking and getting out there and meeting people. And it was either I was going to be out there meeting new people or I was just going to be sitting back at my desk making cold calls all day long, which I was still doing anyway. But I realized that it was better to be involved in different organizations that I enjoy and those types of things. So this was 17 years ago, and I only joined Toastmasters 7 years ago. So within that 10-year span, I did a lot of different things to help to build my business and different opportunities that arose and join different groups and things. I went to 2 or 3 different Toastmasters meetings of different clubs around Orlando. And the first one I went to was pretty intimidating. It was a club that had been around for a long time and was a large room. And I loved the idea and the concept of it, but it was hard for me to make the commitment to be going as frequently as I would like to. And also, just with that club just seemed so big and so intimidating that it didn't really. For those reasons, I just didn't join right away. Now, the Citrus Club is a business club in Orlando I've been a part of for over 15 years now. And when they started the chapter, they probably started the chapter about 8 years ago. So it took me about a year before I joined, but that just seemed to make sense to me because it was a place that I was already familiar with. I was already there on a regular basis. At that time, it was easy for me to get to from my office. And I saw it as a way where I could continue to grow professionally, also to meet and to be able to network with people. I've always enjoyed public speaking. I remember I spoke at baccalaureate in high school and it gave a speech there, and just the feedback and the experience of doing that, I just remember being very exhilarating for me. And I had also gotten opportunities to speak at my alma mater, UCF, a couple of times. And I remember afterwards, was so critical on myself. I said, "Oh, I should have paused there. I should have slowed down there. I should have sped up there. I should have enunciated more. I should have used more vocal variety." Between that speech that I gave, where I just was really critical of myself and really wanted to grow, and then the Citrus Club opening up a Citrus Toastmasters group, I just kind of felt that the timing was perfect. And I was at a stage in my career at that point where I could devote to something that was going to be on a weekly basis. So all of the stars aligned, and I was able to join Toastmasters, and it's been a just phenomenal journey. I do a lot of speaking engagements, particularly within local colleges, and that's one of the things that I advise to every college student. I generally will invite them to come attend a meeting, and unfortunately, I've had several students from UCF that have attended Citrus Toastmasters and other Toastmasters groups locally.
Maybe I misunderstood. Is Citrus Club a club other than Toastmasters?
Yeah, Citrus Club is a business club. Think of it kind of like a country club, except there's not any golf involved. But it's a business club where they have meeting space, restaurant, lounges, private events. It's part of the Invited Club network, which is worldwide business clubs and country clubs. It's been around since, I believe, the 70s, and then they just started a Toastmasters there, I think, about 8 years ago.
Sounds like a natural fit. And thanks for clarifying. So now I'm also curious, Todd, what skills have you gained from Toastmasters? You already mentioned how it helps you professionally and in your business, but what if skills have you gained from Toastmasters that help you in your role as a father?
Yeah, it's a great question, Greg. I think that parenthood, of course, was a most challenging journey, and obviously a lot of credit goes to my wife, who stays at home with the kids and just on a day-to-day basis does some incredible work with them, and keeping them of where they need to be, and organizing everything. And I think the work that she needs to do, the organizational work as a mother, I also have to do within my business, because I'm a partner, a founding partner of my firm, Signature Wealth Partners, and my biggest role is as a financial advisor and financial planner to my clients. And it involves a lot of time management skills, and organization and those types of things. So when I think about being the Toastmaster of the day, as an example, and being the one that leads that meeting, a lot of organizational type roles need to be filled there, and you're helping to make sure, do we have all of our roles filled? Do our speakers show up today? Do we have evaluators? How are we going to keep the meeting flowing and on time? And I think just doing that role is a lot of similarities just to life and business in general. So that has helped me professionally. But then when I go back to your question on as a father, you have to have the proper time management skills, and you have to figure out what's important, and what you can do. So one of the things as an entrepreneur that were attractive to me very early on was going to be the flexibility of my schedule, so that I could, really build my schedule around my family, and making sure that I can be at all of the events that I want to be at, and be able to be a dad first, and do those things. So fortunately, through working very, very hard through my business throughout many years now, I knew that the time came that I was a dad, that I'd be able to do those things. So I think that that's the organizational aspect of it. The time management aspect is something that has been very impactful. That's translated well from Toastmasters to being a dad.
Yeah, it sounds like the principles that you've acquired through Toastmasters has certainly influenced your parenting style.
Yeah, definitely. I think that, and that was really one of the hidden benefits that I would not have foreseen when I joined Toastmasters.
So, Todd, knowing how important Toastmasters is for you and the benefits you've gained from it, I'm curious, what advice would you give someone who's considering joining Toastmasters, yet their hesitation might be the concern about juggling the professional and the family commitments?
Yeah, I think obviously it needs to work within those two commitments of work and family. You don't want to take away from either of those, because yeah, a lot of those benefits that I just talked about, as far as how it's benefited me, if you don't have the the family time, and if you don't have the work time you're required to have, then it's not going to work out. So I think one of the greatest things about it for someone who is trying to decide if they should join or not is there's so many different clubs out there. And it's been around for 100 years. It's across the world. There are usually going to be clubs that can fit in with your schedule, whether it's a morning time one like mine. Mine's at 7:30 on Friday mornings, or a lunch one, or something that's in the evenings. There's generally going to be something that's going to be close enough to where you work or your home to be able to work on your schedule. And I do know of several people that have been members of our clubs over the years, where it was their manager at work, or their boss, or someone at work, who said, you should really go to this to be able to further yourself professionally. And I would encourage them to talk with their supervisor at work, or their manager or something, and mention, hey, this is something I'm interested in. And who knows, you might even be able to get them to pay the dues for you, but at least get their blessing that you can be there and be a part of it. And then there's a lot of entrepreneurs like myself that are in the club, and people that own businesses, and I think they can also then have the flexibility like I can to make sure it works within in their schedule as well. So for the advice I would give is just go to a meeting and check it out, and see how you like it, and what that experience is when you go. And it took a couple of different meetings from a couple of different clubs for me over the years, but then when the fit was perfect for me, then I'm very fortunate and very happy that I did made that decision 7 years ago to join.
So get people to show up for the first time, and if they need that time from work or home, is get the permission from their spouse or significant other or their boss?
Yes, and in my case, it was with the spouse. It was funny. I was probably about a year in, and a lot of those early speeches, I practiced them in front of my wife. And then about that year mark, she's like, "Okay, so when are you done?" And I said, "What do you mean when are you done?" She's like, "I thought this was like a like a 1 year program or something. Like you keep doing this." And then I said, "Well, yeah, it's yeah, I'm finishing my first book, and then I'm going to go on and do this and pathways and all these other things." And she's like, "I thought, aren't you good yet, or aren't you a better speaker yet, or something?" So I was like, "No, this is just a ongoing thing. I'm not. Yeah, I'm always growing, always learning, and always practicing, and you got to stay sharp." And I feel like sometimes when I have been away for a few months or something, I go back in there for that first table topics, I kind of feel a little rusty sometimes. And I do think that it's, yeah, continuing to go is a great way to really stay sharp, and on a regular basis, it benefits me within my work and life and my personal life as well.
So we've come full circle. I opened up by saying this is a Toastmasters family, and family is always there.
Yeah.
Todd, this has been absolutely delightful. And folks, if you have a big grin or smile on your face and you appreciate some of the golden nuggets that were shared here today, make sure that you share this episode with your family and friends. You can catch the Toastmasters podcast at toastmasterspodcast.com, toastmasters.org, Apple, Spotify, and pretty much wherever you get your podcasts. Todd, before we go, if you can let us know if someone is interested in having a further chat with you, where they can reach you.
Yeah, Greg, the best place they can check out is toddbryantcfp.com. Todd Bryant, C certified F financial P planner.com. And that's going to take you to my website profile where you'll have links to my LinkedIn and Twitter and my email and phone number and all that great stuff. And if you want to check out our club, it's called Citrus Toastmasters. It's Friday mornings at the Citrus Club in downtown Orlando from 7:30 to 8:45 every Friday.
That's wonderful. And we'll certainly put a link to the information you've given us in the show notes. And don't forget to read Todd Bryant's My Turn in the April 2024 issue of the Toastmaster magazine entitled A Toastmasters Family, How My Membership Inspired My Daughter. Todd Bryant, thank you so much for taking the time and to speak with us today. Give our best regards to Cambrie and the rest of the family, and good luck with your son.
Yeah, thank you, Greg. You'll be hearing about his speech sometime next year.
Ever imagined a book written just for you? Introducing Books.ai. We're not just another bookstore, we're the future of reading. Our state-of-the-art AI adapts each book to your specific needs, creating a personalized masterpiece. Visit Books.ai now, that's POOKS.ai, and use the promotion code SPOTIFY for a whopping 50% off. Books.ai, your personalized book awaits.